Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
The last time the Indians and Angels met, Nick Swisher provided one of the grand moments of the season for the fans of Northeast Ohio. At that time, the Halos trailed the first-place Athletics by 6 games. But oh, how the tables have turned. L.A. now leads Oakland by 7 in the AL West. Today's one-day matinee features a doozy of a pitching matchup. Angels ace Jared Weaver opposes Danny Salazar next on Sports Time Ohio. The two hottest teams in the American League meet today here at Progressive Field. The Cleveland Indians, winners of 7 of their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. And the AL Western Division leading Angels have won 4 straight and 8 of their last 10. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. The Cleveland Indians, well, they keep pushing towards a playoff spot. And if they're going to do that, Rick, if they're going to continue to do that, they have to maintain a great starting pitching rotation, which has been nothing short of spectacular over the last month.
Well, when you look at their big three, they have been dominant. The last time they have come out on the mound, and it was Carrasco yesterday, 8 2/3. He didn't get the complete game, almost could have one. And then Corey Kluber, he had a complete game. He dominated the White Sox. And then Danny Salazar, who's pitching today, he had a complete game shutout, his first against the Detroit Tigers. When you look at it, they are in attack mode. No walks, 25 strikeouts. They have been unbelievable. And, I mean, it's been a nice run they've been on for almost over a month.
And the key for Danny Salazar today, get deep. And I'm not talking about 8-9 innings. When he goes at least 5, his ERA is 4.5 runs lower than when he does not. So we'll keep an eye on that today as the Indians take on the Angels in this makeup game. It's a one-game affair, and then the Angels leave town, and the Indians will welcome Minnesota into town tomorrow. Play-by-play coming up next. McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's. Get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And welcome into Progressive Field on a gorgeous afternoon. A Monday matinee affair as the Indians and the Angels play a makeup game that was rained out earlier this summer. And every game so critical for both teams as they go down the stretch. The Angels, they've got the benefit of a little bit of a cushion. They have a 7-game lead on September the 8th over the Oakland Athletics in the AL West. The Indians, they're fighting uphill, but they're only 3.5 back in the AL wild card, while they're 5 games back in the Central Division. And in the meantime, Kansas City and Detroit start a series tonight. So that'll be interesting to see how that thing plays out. All right, let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Angels today under Mike Scioscia. It's brought to you by Toyota. Michael Bourne will lead it off, followed by Jose Ramirez. Michael Brantley is batting third. Carlos Santana, Jason Kipnis, and Lonnie Chisenhall in the middle, followed by Yan Gomes, Jason Giambi, and David Murphy. Now for the Angels, it's Calhoun, Trout, Pujols, Kendrick, Freese, Ibar, C.J. Cron, Hank Conger, and Colin Cowgill.
Our GMC starting pitcher is Danny Salazar, who is making his 17th start. Danny's been on a roll in his last 3 starts. He's 2-0 with a .45 ERA. Been very good. He has made 1 start against the Angels in his career. That came last year out in Anaheim. That was August 20th. He had a no decision, went 5 1/3 innings in that game. The Indians ended up winning it in 14 innings. Let's check out the defense behind him. That'll be the Kia Indians defense. In the outfield, left to right, it'll be Brantley, Bourne, and Murphy. On the infield, Chisenhall is at third, Ramirez at short, Kipnis is at second, Santana at first with Gomes doing the catching.
Paul Schreiber behind the plate, Alfonso Marquez at first, Ted Ripperger is at second, and the crew chief Ted Barrett down at third. Jared Weaver will be the Angels starter today, a 15-game winner, a 1-1 on the year against Cleveland. Danny Salazar ready to start this one for the Tribe. He's 6-6 on the year. And the Indians starting pitching of late has been sensational. First pitch up high, ball 1.
Well, for Salazar, his last start against the Tigers, first complete game shutout, gave up 8 hits, struck out 9, did not walk a batter. It's the first complete game shutout against the Tigers since 1998 at Tiger Stadium. It was Jared Wright.
Base hit into right field for Cole Calhoun. His 7th hit in 16 at-bats this year against Cleveland pitching. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Mike Trout and Albert Pujols, the number 2 and 3 hitters in this Angels lineup. They, without a doubt, are the keys. They make everything go for the Halos. And when you're facing Jared Weaver, lay off the high heater. He'll get you to chase up in the strike zone or just above the letters. Mike Trout is the American League leader with 75 extra base hits. In addition to the 32 homers, 37 doubles, and 6 triples. Fastball to the outside corner for strike 1.
Now, again, having an MVP-type season. 4th in home runs, tied for 4th. 1st in RBI, 102. 100 of those coming in the number 2 hole.
Up high, 1-1.
He's only the 9th guy in all of baseball to have 100 RBIs out of that number 2 hole.
Now the 1-1. Line to left, a base hit. Calhoun around second. He'll stop right there as Brantley was able to race in and pick it up.
Well, that pitch there will show you how good Trout is on the pitch down in the strike zone or even below it. He's an excellent low ball hitter, probably one of the best in the game. And you look at that. He picks up that slider. It might have been low. And not even a strike, but he goes and gets it, hits it into left field off the end of the bat, so it's back-to-back singles for the Angels.
That'll bring up Albert Pujols. "34-year-old, batting .300 in his last 21 games. Chopped to third, but foul. Last night, Albert Pujols knocked the 25th home run of the season and his 517th in his career. That's 21st on baseball's all-time home run list. He's 4 behind Willie McCovey, Frank Thomas, and Ted Williams for 18th place. The 0-1, a little bit high. And a count 1-1. Salazar with some first inning traffic with 2 on and nobody out, and he can't get on the same page with Yan Gomes, so Pujols steps away. We'll try it again.
Now, Salazar would love to get that ground ball turned to get the first out in this inning.
Outside with a fastball, it's 2-1.
Pujols has grounded into 24 double plays this year. But the key is getting him to hit it on the ground at one of your infielders.
This year, he's driven in 5 runs against Cleveland, going 5 for 24. And a foul right back to even the count. Indians took 2 out of 3 from the Angels here in Cleveland when they met earlier this year. They lost all 3 out in Anaheim.
Coming right into your living room.
Yes, indeed.
Holy cow.
Give you a shave. Pujols sends one in the air down the right field line, slicing, and that'll get into the seats. Out of play. So we'll come back and try it again with 2 on, nobody out here in the first. Albert Pujols has put up the kind of numbers this year that, or not this year, but in his career, that at this point in his career, when he passes people, their names like Harmon Killebrew and Rogers Hornsby.
Yeah, the all-time greats, without a doubt.
Fouled right back.
He's fallen off some pretty good pitches. The last one was away. He fouled it down the right field line. This one coming straight back. So right out of the chute, Salazar having to pitch from the stretch and going to have to work hard to get through the first inning.
And the 2-2.
There
right
it
back
is.
to the mound. Salazar goes to second. There's one. Kipnis throws to first for the double play. Santana, the only question was, could he keep the foot on the bag, because Kipnis had the load of Mike Trout bearing down on him. And Trout is a big dude. He's a linebacker playing baseball. And he went into second base. And because the throw to Kipnis was a little low, he had to make sure he caught it. And then he had Trout getting into him pretty good.
No question. You knew that was going to happen because with the first baseman playing back, okay, he could have went on the outside part of the bag and really made Kipnis work hard to get it. He went straight into the bag, and Kipnis able to get it off. Santana keeps the foot on the base. And you can see Griffin, the first base coach, jumping to get out of the way, but they turn it just what Salazar needed.
Now Howie Kendrick takes the ball up high. Howie Kendrick is what you would call on fire. Saturday he had 4 hits. Yesterday he went 3 for 4 with a triple and a home run and 4 runs batted in. Just missed the cycle on back-to-back days. Saturday he missed the cycle by a home run. Yesterday he missed it by a double. Second time in as many years he's had back-to-back games of at least 3 hits.
Well, he's just a really good hitter that takes the ball the other way and hits it where it's pitched.
Swing and a miss. Salazar strikes him out to end the inning. It didn't start well, but it finished fantastically for Danny Salazar. Field, the Indians starting lineup brought to you by Progressive. Under Terry Francona, the Tribe sends out this starting nine. Michael Brantley with an 11-game hitting streak, batting over 400 during that time with 7 runs batted in. It's the 3rd time this year he's had a hitting streak of 11 games or more. Wow.
GMC starting pitcher is Jarrett Weaver. He is having a nice year again. 15-8, a 3.56 ERA. He's made 10 starts against the Indians here in Cleveland. He is 6-1 and a 2.04 ERA. The only loss came earlier this year on June 16th to the Tribe.
Michael Bourne looks at the ball up high.
Weaver, a guy now that commands the baseball, changes speeds, a lot of deception.
Left field down the line. That's a foul ball.
Let's check the Angels defense for you. Behind Weaver this afternoon. In the outfield, it's Cowgill in left. Trout is in center. Calhoun over and right. Freeze is at third. Ibar short. Kendrick at second. Crone at first. Conger doing the catching. That is our Kia defense.
Michael Bourne pulls this one foul. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bourne leads the league in triples with 10. And he's gone 5 for 25 against Angels pitching this year. And a swing and a miss, he'll strike out to start the game here today. With more on Angels starter Jared Weaver, let's go downstairs to Katie Witham.
Well, not a lot's talked about Jared Weaver and the lack of velocity that he now has later in his career. Well, velocity or not, he still has the one thing that's made him good. It's that unorthodox, very deceptive delivery. The other thing is he knows how to pitch. He makes his fastball very effective to both sides of the plate, and then he'll mess up hitters by pitching backwards. Off speeds early, fastballs late.
Now that's how we got Michael Bourne to strike out the fastball up and away. Got him to swing at it. A lot of different ways to pitch.
Breaking ball in for a strike.
Not many guys can make that transition like Jared Weaver has made to come back in here and, have that real slow curveball in the 60s. And make that anywhere from 83 to 88, 89 mile an hour fastball effective and make it look like it's 95. Not everybody has to throw 95. He has 100 strikeouts or more in 9 consecutive seasons.
To second base. Howie Kendrick has it, flips it, 2 down. And that will bring up Michael Brantley. Brantley is 6th in the American League in batting average. He is tied for 8th in runs batted in. And he is also 4th now in doubles. And if that's not enough for you, he has the 3rd best home batting average in the American League, and he is the #1 hitter against right-handed pitching. Takes a strike. To first, sharply hit, but C.J. Cron takes it himself, and the Angels go 1-2-3. Baseball is brought to you by your Northern Ohio Honda dealers, by the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. No score, second inning.
They're talking about baseballs being short-hopped right now. To throw to second base with short-hop, they switched the baseballs, and Socha says he wants a new ball. Only if the hitter would check.
Well,
be as observant as the manager was.
Well, the umpire was telling him he already switched him.
Right.
Basically saying, mind your own business.
He switched it out. They do.
There's a strike called.
But hey,
David Freese.
He's
Ryan
just
Freese.
making sure.
David Freese. Why did I say Ryan Freese?
I don't know. Why did you?
Ryan Drees, maybe? I don't know. Who knows? Out of play. Maybe I'm thinking of Ryan Friel. Maybe that's what I was. Had
Cincinnati?
stuck in my head, yeah. Freese is 8 for 24 against Indians pitching this year. They brought him in to provide some offense. He punches this one to right field, but David Murphy runs it down, one away. Start of the game is brought to you by Buick, and the Indians and the Angels have been hot really for the last month now. 20-7 for the Angels, 17-8 for Cleveland. Look at the starter's ERA for Cleveland, though.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Well, the one thing, the Angels are number one in the league in runs scored, 676 coming into this game. Third in doubles. Offensively, they've had a really nice year.
Jose Ramirez cuts it off, unloads in a hurry to get Eric Ibar, 2 down. The Indians' earned run average since the All-Star break is .282, and only 3 times since 1933 have they finished the second half with an ERA under 3. 1954, of course, we know they went to the World Series. 1968. That was the last year before they lowered the pitcher's mound.
Dahl and Tion had the great years.
And then 1972, and wasn't that the year Gaylord Perry won the Cy Young Award?
Yes.
So that's the only 3 instances in which they've gone under 3 in the second half of a season. But that's how good this staff has been, even though it's sort of been patchwork together at times.
It's been a lot of youngsters, and it's been fun to watch. These guys have been dominating. They've been feeding off each other. They've been in the attack mode. They haven't been giving up any base runners. They've been throwing a lot of strikes, making them put the ball in play. And in turn, the defense has been a little bit better.
Yes, I would agree with that. Well, they'll still have their miscues here and there, but every team does. But I think as a whole, they've been better defensively. And, maybe some of that has been just guys getting more comfortable in their positions.
Well, Ramirez has done a nice job since he's been here at shortstop position, and I think covering a lot more ground than Cabrera did.
3-0 pitch. C.J. Cron draws a walk. That'll bring up Hank Conger. No, I think Carlos Santana, who started the year at third base and would split time behind the plate. Not split time, but he would sub occasionally for Yan Gomes behind the plate. Once the Indians committed to him at first base, he's been better defensively from a more consistent standpoint. And I think the same can be said of Lonnie Chisenhall at third once they just pretty much left him alone as the everyday third baseman.
That walk there by Salazar was the first one by a starter in the last 103 hitters that they've had. That's how good they have been, and in the attack mode.
Hank Conger has hit 3 home runs on the year. One of them came against Cleveland. And the pitch is outside, 1-1. Two down with a runner aboard here in the second inning. Indians have a big shift, 3 on the right side for Conger. That's up high, 2-1. Popped him up, back out of play. Back on April the 11th, in the 11th inning, Hank Conger was hit by a pitch that would end the game. It was a bases-loaded situation. It marked the 5th time in Angels history that they would walk off with a hit by pitch. And the first time since Wally Joyner did it in 1989. Ironically, it happened against Detroit, the team Joyner is now a coach for. The 2-2. Bounced in front of the plate, and Gomes did a good job to block it. So a full count, the runner Crone will be off at first base. And Hank Conger, who is just 2 hits shy of 150 for his career, will be digging in now. Looking for a Danny Salazar fastball. And the payoff pitch is fouled right back. Already 32 pitches for Salazar. He had a chance to go 1-2-3 here in the second, but that walk to Crone, extending the inning. And again the 3-2. Swung on and missed. He elevated the heater, and Conger couldn't catch up. Second strikeout for Salazar. No score, middle of the second inning.
The September pennant race is with MLB.com at bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball. You can enjoy live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, live radio broadcasts, the MLB game of the day, and more. Get at bat for your smartphone or tablet on the App Store or visit MLB.com.
Carlos Santana will lead off here in the bottom of the second inning. Pitch is up high for ball 1. You made mention of it in the past that when Danny Salazar pitches for a right-handed pitcher, he really steps toward the third base side of the rubber as Santana lines a single into right field and the Indians get their leadoff man aboard.
Yeah,
but
his
Jared
landing
Weaver
area.
he's another 6 to 8 inches farther towards the third base dugout
look at that.
than Danny Salazar is.
Yeah, he throws across his body, always has for the big guy, big tall man. Throws from the extreme third base side of the rubber. You know, watch where he steps. He's stepping over to the Indians' dugout. Look at that. But he stays closed and he creates angles. But it's weird. You know, we've never seen anybody as far over as usually Salazar is, and he is way over. You're right. Extreme.
Jason Kipnis was thinking about a bunt. Would have been a good one to get after, but he let it go by for a strike. Freese isn't buying the bunt. He's back at third. And Kipnis lines it to first for a double play.
Well, not much you can do there. Line drive right into the tracks of Crone at first base. He just catches it and steps on first for the double play.
Lonnie Chisenhall has gone 4 for 15 against the Angels this year with a home run. And he takes ball one outside.
Pretty good numbers against Jared Weaver in his career.
He's down on the count here, 1-2.
When you look at Jared Weaver, his career winning percentage, .653. He's 128 and 68. There's only second to Clayton Kershaw.
Lonnie lifts one down the line, but that's going to get out of play.
Among all active starting pitchers with a minimum of 100 starts, goes out there and just finds a way to win. They're 3-1 in his last 5 starts. He's been blessed with pretty good run support, too. They've been averaging over 6 runs a game for him.
Lonnie lifts one to left. Cowgill is there. And the inning is over. 2 complete, no score. Those of us who grew up going to Old Municipal Stadium got to go in a Wayback Machine.
Oh, yeah.
Rocco Scotti, legendary voice. The opera singer who thrilled us for so many years at the old ballpark with his renditions of the Star-Spangled Banner, came out today, and they had him out there, and they played one of his recordings of the Star-Spangled Banner, and Rocco sang along while he wasn't mic'd up, but he had all of the gestures, and look at him. Get this cane out of here.
There he is.
He was
I'll tell
fired up as always.
He is the absolute best. What a great man. Would have liked to see the Indians give him a nice white home jersey there with Scotty on the back.
Colin Cowgill leading off here in the third inning. He's rocking the Asdrubal Cabrera jersey.
Well, Rocco, he sang it for years and years when we were there. There he is.
Oh, that's not lip syncing. He's singing.
Yeah,
you just can't hear him without a
right.
microphone in front of him.
And I bet it sounds just as good if you would have gave him the mic.
Oh, yeah.
What a great guy.
Fouled right back. He is 94 years old.
Wow. Yeah, he used to be around the old ballpark every day, whether he sang the anthem or not.
Solo chopper to short. Ramirez will have to hurry. And he throws out Cowgill, one away. Don't forget, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have your pictures shown during our telecast. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Top of the order, Cole Calhoun, who had a base hit his first time up. Calhoun's become a very good leadoff man for the Halos. When he scores a run, they have gone 39-10 this year.
Well, think about the guys he's hitting in front of. When he gets on, you've got the Trouts, the Pujols, and, the big part of that lineup coming up. And, boy, his job is to get on base, or anybody's job that's in that spot.
Wow. Good-looking pitch, called a ball, 3-1. Yeah, I'm sure when they put this team together, they're thinking Josh Hamilton's in the mix, too, in the middle of that lineup. That's right down the middle of the plate.
It was a good pitch.
That was low, and it's ball 4. Second walk issued by Salazar. Well, if you want to gaze ahead, the list of potential candidates for the American League Most Valuable Player Award. I don't see why you couldn't add Michael Brantley to that list. He doesn't have the home runs, but neither does Robinson Cano.
Right. That's true.
I think Brantley's right there with that group as well.
And you got Cabrera that's off it. He's won back-to-backs. And Trout, of course, has finished second the last 2 years. And the kind of year that the Angels are having, everybody would probably lean towards him right now. Guy in Baltimore's not doing too bad, the one-year signing. Nelson Cruz with a big day yesterday, 39 homers, and on the year he had 2, had 7 ribbies.
Yeah, I think with Trout and with Cruz, it certainly helps their case that their teams are firmly in command of first place in their respective divisions, too.
Yeah, total command between the both of them. Baltimore with a 9.5 game lead, and the Angels now with a 7 game lead. So that certainly helps. And I know what you're saying as far as Michael Brantley goes. We watch him every day. There's no question he could be, because if this offense didn't have Michael Brantley, I'll tell you what, they'd be in real trouble. He's been solid every day, offensively, defensively, and we'll see. The Indians, you never know where it can end up. They get hot and they remain pitching the way they do, and they continue to win. They could be a wild card team, and his name could be thrown into there.
2-1 pitch, fouled right back. Yeah, you get to this point in the season, you think, boy, you're already 142 games in. Well, you know what? In these last 20 games,
that's what I'm saying. People forget about. Hey, man, there's still a lot of time left.
It can.
Indians were in the same boat as they were last year. They just continued to win, and nobody thought they were going to do it in September, and they ended up winning 21 games. Yeah, let's let the season play out. There's plenty of time for postseason awards after the postseason or after the regular season.
Well, that's the other thing, too. I know most fans are aware of this. Some may not be. The voting occurs before the postseason.
Right.
So some people think, well, so-and-so had a great. Well, that doesn't count what he do in the playoffs.
Right. Votes are in.
Votes have already been cast. The 2-2.
Salazar had to work hard to get through that first inning, and he did it with the double play and the strikeout, but he had 2 outs, ended up walking a guy, had to work through it. Now he's got 1 out in a full count here, going back into this lineup, middle part of it.
Three-two pitch, swing and a miss. He struck him out. That's
Elevated
3 Ks for Salazar.
Yeah, you got it upstairs. After he hit that slider the first time up, that was way down in the zone. 3-2 pitch. Mike Scioscia doesn't start the runner, and you're going to see an elevated fastball. You can't catch up with it when it's in the mid-90s. Trout swings through it, tipped it, went into the glove of Gomes, out number 2.
And that will bring up Albert Pujols, who had a key at bat in the first inning. Back-to-back singles for the Angels to start the game, and then Pujols bang one back to Salazar, who turned it into a double play. High fly ball, shallow right. In comes David Murphy. Calls for it, makes the catch. We'll go to the bottom of the third. It remains scoreless in Cleveland. Tune later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Bottom third of the Indians' order due here in inning number 3. Yan Gomes, Jason Giambi, and David Murphy. Gomes 4 out of 17 this year against the Angels pitching. Putting together a fantastic season, though. Overall, with 17 homers, 24 doubles. Swing and a miss. Strike one. A little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Low and away again. 2 balls and a strike. Foul back to even it up.
69, that breaking ball there, and he can go slower than that.
In the air to right field. In comes Calhoun. 1 away. Injury report, courtesy of the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Garrett Richards, Tyler Skaggs, couple of key injuries. Boy, I mean, Garrett Richards was having a phenomenal season. People were talking about him as a potential for the Cy Young Award, and with good reason, before he went down. And it was a flukish knee injury. He was going to cover first base, and he just went down in a heap. It didn't look like anything awkward happened. He didn't get bent back over sideways. He didn't hit the bag. He just
like it
on his way,
on
it just, boom, down he went. And it's a real shame for him. Jason Giambi. He is no stranger to these Angels. 489 career at-bats against Angels pitching. 28 homers, 79 runs batted in.
That's almost like a full year.
Pops this one sky high on the infield. Kendrick, or rather Ibar, calling for it, and he makes the catch 2 down.
Well, guarantee your 2014 postseason tickets with the Tribe's Playoff Payoff program. Place a deposit on 2015 season tickets, and you can gain priority access to the 14 postseason tickets. Visit Indians.com for more details.
Here's David Murphy. Outside, ball 1. Offensively, the Indians have averaged 3.3 runs per game against the Angels in 6 matchups this year, which in reality really should be no huge surprise, because the Indians this year 70 times in their 142 games, so virtually every other game, they've scored 3 runs or less on the year, including 8 of their last 12 overall.
Yeah, I mean, recently the pitching has been so good.
Well, they've been able to overcome it.
You
Rick.
win 2-1, you win the 2-0 games. They have 12 shutouts on the year. Make that 11 shutouts. The Angels have 12.
A strike is called. Line to short, that'll end the inning. We've played 3, no score in Cleveland. The game from yesterday, Carlos Carrasco 1 out shy of his first career complete game shutout. He held the White Sox scoreless on 4 hits over 8 2/3 innings. He struck out 8, did not walk a batter. He wanted to stay in there and finish it, but Terry Francona decided he had had enough. Then he went to Cody Allen to get the final out of the ball game. Look at his last 6 starts, 0.70. That is incredible.
He has been a lot of fun to watch out on the mound pitching.
Chop to third. Lonnie Chisenhall will flip it over. 1 away. Let's go down to Katie Witham for our Hear Right audiology sound of the game with more on Carrasco.
Matt, after the game last night, Carlos Carrasco said the key was pitching inside. Mickey Callaway goes in depth and describes to you what kind of difference it makes when you do develop that inner quarter.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. You open up the outside corner for those, really effective off-speed pitches that those guys have. They have the ability to really spin the ball down and away from a righty. So anytime you sink the ball in or forcing the ball in on a right-hander's hands, especially those big hitters like Abreu and those guys, you really control what they can do. And the best they can do is just pull or roll a ground ball over to shortstop.
Yeah, 4 quadrants of that strike zone. If you take on the inside part of the plate and go down and in and up and in, certainly does open up the outside part of the plate and make them use all 17 inches or protect all 17. And actually, it'll even give you some more on the outside part of the plate because you get a lot of hitters to chase that pitch away.
Swing and a miss by David Freese. It's 1-2. Yeah, if you consistently pound that outside part of the plate, all of a sudden a ball off the plate or 2 balls off the plate, when you're ahead in the count, that hitter might have to go out there and chase after it.
Not might. He's going to have to.
Jose Ramirez fields the ground ball and flips it over for out number 2. That's going to bring up Eric Ibar, the Angels shortstop who grounded out his first time up. To short again. Ramirez off balance throw on the money. Boy, that kid has become some kind of slick fielding shortstop. 8 pitches. All Salazar needs. 1, 2, 3 go the Angels in the 4th.
December 27th for Fan Appreciation Night. As the Tribe will take on the Rays. Fans can enjoy dollar dogs, fireworks, other fan appreciation activities throughout the night. September 27th.
Michael Bourne leading off here in the 4th. Weaver faced the minimum first time through, allowed just 1 single. Had 1 strikeout. Bourne pulls it back on the bunt offering. Ball 1.
Well, for Weaver, it was 1 for 9 that first time through the lineup. And normally they hit 194 off him. The second time through, it goes to 242 throughout the course of the year. And then the third's 292. So they make an adjustment. Maybe they get to know where that arm slot is and get a look at that real slow breaking ball. But he mixes his pitches beautifully. You talk about keeping the hitters off stride, keep them off the barrel of the bat. He does a great job. He has given up 23 home runs this year. 15 have been solo, so he may leave a pitch here and there in the middle of the plate, and they take advantage of it. But he keeps the hitters off balance for the most part.
Up the middle. Howie Kendrick flips it over. 1 away. You can always have the latest information on the Indians right at your fingertips. Follow Tribe reporter Joe Reedy from FoxSportsOhio.com on Twitter at Joe Reedy for the latest news and stories on your favorite team. Jose Ramirez ground out his first time up. Not only has this guy made just about every single play on defense, but in his last 23 games, as he's gotten more and more familiar and everyday playing time, he's hitting .315. There's a long drive to right, but Calhoun grabs it 2 down.
He has really done a great job settling into the number 2 hole. I've been surprised at him defensively. You know, you keep waiting. He makes every play, and the throws are very accurate. And offensively, you're right. He's picking it up. He's not going to have a lot of power, but he can do the little things.
Michael Brantley ground out his first time up. Brantley riding an 11-game hitting streak coming into today's action. Big curveball from Weaver, in for a strike. To center field, and that will be a base hit. Michael Brantley runs that hitting streak out to 12 games with a 2-out single here in the fourth.
Tried to come back with another curveball, and Michael was ready for it. Started him off with one, and Michael just took it and got a look at it, and then he comes back again, and that ball away, and he was ready. Second hit for the Indians, 2-out single. The other hit was a Santana leadoff single back in the second.
Well, we'll see if Brantley tries to swipe a bag maybe with 2 outs here in the fourth inning. He has 19 on the year.
Weaver does a pretty nice job getting the ball to home plate for a big guy.
Conger's thrown out 17 would-be base stealers this year. Throughout 13 all of last season.
Well, here's what you want to do. If you're going to try and steal a base against Weaver, you want to try and pick that big slow hook that he will eventually throw. Santana, great numbers against Weaver in his career. Maybe that's where you stay put, let him swing the bat.
Oh, almost got him. He skipped out of the way. 2-1 the count.
Well, Weaver knows that if he's going to go inside to Santana, he's going to go in off the plate. He knocks him out of that toe hold, down and in. Now see if he follows this one with a slow breaking ball after going hard down and in. Good fastball down and away.
2-2.
And this is the key here, locating. Fastball right there on the outside edge.
Just missed inside in a full count. So Brantley will be off on a 3-2 now.
Boy, he has worked it. He's stayed with the hard stuff. He's moved it in and out. That's a good pitch there. We saw Salazar didn't get one earlier in the game. That looked like a good pitch right there. Didn't get called. That's the tougher one to get called, that fastball on the inside corner, but it looked like a pretty good spot. So Santana gets one more opportunity.
And he strikes him out. 4 complete, no score. a quarter-mile west of Great Northern Mall on the North Olmsted Auto Mile. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. No score as we go to the 5th inning. Danny Salazar, 4 shutout innings on 58 pitches. 35 of those have been strikes. And a swing and a miss by C.J. Cron to start inning number 5. C.J. Cron says Raul Ibanez really helped him a lot this year. Cron had not done much DHing at all when he got called up to the big leagues, so it was Ibanez who taught him how to prepare, how to stay relaxed, and more importantly, how to stay ready. And C.J. Cron said, I picked his brain. He helped me by showing what he does to stay focused, to be prepared. Ever since spring training, he has been awesome. Can talk to him about anything, no matter what. Of course, Ibanez now with the Kansas City Royals, but
well, there's a guy that played 20 years in the big leagues, and he's just explaining it to the young hitters. And, you know, that's better than having a coach. It's a guy that's there playing with you, and he knows, he's been through it. They listen a lot better, I think, to a player in uniform. Look at that.
Base hit in the right
field.
field.
It's a pretty good job of hitting right there, being down in the count 0-2. Gets it to 1-2, and this takes what Salazar gave him. Wonder if this pitch was up a little bit. You know, this pitch might have been elevated. It was easy for him to reach out there and just slap it the other way. Didn't have to use his legs there. 3rd hit now for the Angels.
And up comes Hank Conger as they get their leadoff man aboard for the 2nd time today.
You know, and I find it hard when you look at some of the numbers against Salazar. Hitting slots. When you look at 1 through 5 in the lineups, hitters are hitting .227 with 5 homers against Danny. And then you go to 6 to 9, they're hitting .323 with 5 home runs. You figured, okay, he'll take care of the bottom part, and it's the good hitters that'll get you. It's been the bottom part of the lineup.
Well, you wonder if is that a process of maturing as a young pitcher? Okay, I got through the tough guys. Now I can relax, and realizing you can't relax at any point, even in the big leagues.
Instead of maybe just sitting back, I'm not saying he's doing this. It's just how the numbers fall, and you look at it of just saying I can throw a fastball to get it by him. They're still major league hitters. You still have to hit quality spots on the plate. And that could be a lack of maybe concentration and focus on where you're going to locate it. But it doesn't matter. At the big league level, I don't care what you can be the number 9 hitter. If you don't pay attention to them, they can hurt you. You don't think so, and they may not do it as consistently as the good hitters, but they can certainly do some damage. And a lot of times it's not necessarily if the bottom part of the lineup can get hits and try and beat you, but if they can make you work pitch counts, foul off pitches, that tires you out.
Base hit right field, and this is going to enable Cron to go all the way to 3rd.
Here you have it, the 7 and 8 guy. They go back-to-back base hits. They have runners at the corners. And now the Angels in business with nobody out here in the 5th. There's another pitch upstairs. It was a slider. Speeds up his bat. He hits it a little bit off the end. They had 3 guys over on that side of the infield. Look at Kipnis way over there, but he's still, with it elevated, able to pull it over there enough to send Cron to 3rd base.
Colin Cowgill grounded out his only time up. And a breaking ball in there for a strike. This was the guy the Angels decided to keep instead of J.B. Shuck, who ends up with the Indians now. Pitch upstairs. They already had Josh Hamilton, Cole Calhoun. So with all that, both of those guys left-handed hitters, and then J.B. being a left-handed hitter, they decided to stick with Cowgill, who is a right-handed bat. And it's worked out well for J.B. Shuck, who has always been his dream to be a Cleveland Indian. Cowgill takes a strike, and now Salazar gets ahead, a 1-2 count. Slowly chopped to third. Chisenhall, he'll go to first. They get the out, but the Angels get the first run of the game.
That's all Chisenhall could do. One play only. Get the out.
Cowgill gets his 18th run batted in. The Angels have a 1-0 advantage here in the fifth inning.
That actually worked out pretty good because they get the guy from first going into second base and get him in scoring position. That ball out in front or off a home plate. First run Danny's allowed in his last 21 innings.
Getting the lead paramount for both of these clubs this year. Indians a very good 50-22 when they score first. The Angels 58-21 when they get the first run of the game. Low 2-0. Hit high in the air. Deep right field. Murphy back on the track at the wall, and it's gone. Murphy got back there to the wall, but just ran out of room. And Cole Calhoun with a 2-run homer makes it 3-0 Angels.
Yeah, he got underneath, had good spin to it. That backspin going all the way. And it looked like it bounced on that little wall out there over the left field, or the yellow line out in right field. He got underneath. It looked like he got a fastball. And there it is. Bounces into the seats. Murphy runs out of room. That's a 3-run inning now for Calhoun. That is his 14th homer.
Cole Calhoun says, I've been one of the smaller guys on the field for most of my career, so I don't really take it personal. I just want to play hard and have fun doing it. His manager, Mike Scioscia, says, quote, he's one of the toughest leadoff men in baseball. Outside, he missed ball 1. How about what Jerry DiPoto, the Angels general manager, says of Cole Calhoun? Quote, from the first time I saw him to what he has become today, am I surprised? Yes. He's exceeded my expectations from the time I came here as general manager of the Angels and watched him play through the minor league system, and his major league progression, though, not at all am I surprised. He said oftentimes you just don't see what a player's made of when you're scouting him from the stands. you find out about a player once you get in the dugout, when you're on the field. Then you get to know him a little bit. And what you're seeing with Cole is probably the reason they adjusted their roster coming into the season. An underrated player in a lot of ways and playing a big role now for the Angels. Mike Trout, meanwhile, has struck out twice today. And there are 2 down here in the 5th inning.
Yeah, a lot of hard work, dedication, and he's got some pretty good players around him. And if you can be a piece of the puzzle, you fit right in.
With 2 down, Albert Pujols 0 for 2 on the day. Lines it into right field for a base hit. Join Bruce Drennan after this afternoon's game to talk about the Tribe and yesterday's performance by the Browns on the all-new Drennan Live here on Sports Time Ohio. New look, same Bruce. Howie Kendrick 0 for 2 on the day. In the hole, and a base hit. Even if Ramirez comes up with it, I don't think he has a chance to get the speedy Howie Kendrick at first. Perfectly placed ground ball.
Well, once it gets by Chisenhall, it would have had to be perfect. And Ramirez is going down on the run and just didn't have enough glove to get down there. He had to stay down, and he was thinking about picking up and throwing it, which he had to. So that's a base hit, infield single. That was on our Wendy's slow motion replay.
Swing and a miss. Good pitch up high. David Freese couldn't catch up to it. Now the 0-1, up and away. Two on, 2 out. Salazar trying to avoid any further damage. And the 1-2 to Freeze is in the dirt. Yeah, 30 pitches in the inning. Started with back-to-back singles by the bottom of the order, and you talked about it, Rick, the trouble spot for Danny. 2-2 pitch. That's going to get into the seats, and it will stay 2-2. Zach McAllister loosening up for Cleveland. Now the 2-2 delivery. Slicing out of plate on the right side. Maybe that's all part of a young pitcher trying to figure things out at the major league level, but avoiding the big inning is paramount to success at this level.
Yeah, they're going to get runs, and big league teams absolutely going to score on you, no question, but you have to stay away from the big ones.
That's clobbered deep left center, and that is trouble. It is gone. That was a monster shot by David Freese. A 2-out, 3-run homer makes it a 6-run fifth for the Angels.
Yeah, a couple of big bombs in this inning, and he was actually, I'm not saying he was fooled on it. He kept his hands back enough. It looked like he hit it off his front foot, but it goes to show you the power of a Freese, and watch where he hits the ball. It's supposed to be away. Look at that. Didn't look like he was going to hit it far. It went a long way. Boy, a 3-run homer, and that is a big bomb. That's a 6-run inning.
That knocks Danny Salazar from the game, and today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen will be for Zach McAllister when we come back. Zach McAllister now on to pitch for the Indians. He'll be facing the 9th batter of the inning for the Angels, and it will be Eric Ibar. Drilled to right. Another base hit. All right, so that stat I gave you at the beginning of the game just got worse. This is the 6th time this year now that Danny Salazar has failed to pitch at least 5 innings in a game. And in those starts, his ERA is 7.24. That's 5 runs higher than when he goes 5 innings or more. 5 innings doesn't seem like a lot, but for whatever reason, Rick, that's his threshold, and if he has it, he usually zooms right along. His ERA is 2.15 when he goes 5 or more.
Well, it started with the bottom part of the lineup, and he had the opportunity because he had guys down. The leadoff single with Crone, he had him down 0-2, gave up the base hit. Conger had down in the count 1-2, gave up the base hit. He got a ground out with Cowgill and struck out Trout. And then Freese down in the count 1-2 and hit the home run. So he had opportunities. He was ahead of the hitters like you want somebody to be. He couldn't put them away, and he left some pitches up in the zone.
McAllister deals, and a foul right back by C.J. Cron, who singled and scored in the 5th.
Yeah, he got it all started. And that base hit to right field.
Runner goes, throw down by Gomes, not in time. #15 stolen base of the year for Eric Ibar. Called a strike on the outside corner, and the count is full. And a foul back out of play. The 3-2. And another foul out of play.
Well, he's...
You know, the velocity's there, 97. We've seen 98, but there's no wrinkle to it, and these guys are just fouling it off.
Well, it's basically all fastballs with Salazar. You get to this count. Ibar came in, hit the first pitch fastball. And he hasn't taken him off of the fastball, so it doesn't matter how hard you throw. And most everything has been away.
C.J. Cron started this inning with a base hit. And this will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat. In the air, left center. Brantley gives away to Bourne, and the inning is over. But the Angels blow it open with a 6th spot in the 5th. And remember, you can tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have one of your pictures shown during our telecast. It's all courtesy of AT&T.
Look at Matt. What's he?
That's Al.
Big Al.
Lance Zink.
Sir Lancelot.
Wow. Jason Kipnis will lead off here in the bottom of the fifth. Lined into a double play, his only time up, looks at a ball up and away. Big curveball drops in for a strike. Outside, he missed. By the first baseman, Cron, and down into the right field corner. Kicks off the sidewall. And Jason Kipnis will hustle into second base with a leadoff double.
Able to keep this one inside the bag. That's one Weaver left in the middle of the plate. Jason Kipnis took advantage of it and hit it down the line. Ricochets off the wall. He'll go into second base with a double, his 23rd on the year.
Pitch up high, ball one. Hit well deep to right field. Back is Calhoun. He's out of room. It's out of here. Lonnie Chisenhall with a two-run homer. Brings the Indians right back here at the bottom of the fifth. They cut into the Angels' lead. It's now a 6-2 ball game. Boy, that's great to see the Indians come back and immediately respond after the Angels put up 6 in the top half of the inning.
Chisenhall's 13th home run here. There's a couple of pitches that have too much of the plate, and both Kipnis and Chisenhall take advantage of it. The double, the dinger. The Indians are on the board. It's now 6-2, and that happened quickly. But Chisenhall has had good numbers against Weaver and continues.
In the air down the right side, and he lost it in the sun. Calhoun couldn't see it.
He's running it into the sun as he's going toward the line.
Not sure he could have caught it anyway. It would have been a tough play up against the railing, but you could see at the last moment he just lost it.
Yep, I don't see it. Don't know where it is. That's a bad feeling, and there's not a cloud in the sky, and it is about as high as you can get. Just as blue as you can get, and you're looking straight up into the sun, running that baseball right into the middle part of it.
Here's Yan Gomes now awaiting the pitch. He smashes it to short. And Ibar will flip it over to first. One down.
Well, the best deal in town for families is the KeyBank Kids Value Ticket. Available every game. Each kid receives $15 for free to use on concessions or merchandise. Visit Indians.com and purchase your tickets.
Jason Giambi popped up on the infield his first time up. Jason Giambi broke in as a rookie with the Oakland A's back in 1993. And in that year, he wore number 72. So he's requested that number again, as he says, I've come full circle. When Giambi broke into the big leagues, hard to believe. I don't even remember Goose Gossage playing with Oakland, but Goose had a locker, and Giambi was lockered right next to him. And he said, when I first broke in, I was so scared I wouldn't even talk to him. But he said it turns out as time went on, he's one of the nicest guys around. We became good friends. Giambi draws a 2-out walk to keep the inning alive. Enjoy the experience of a lifetime with Indians Fantasy Camp in Goodyear, Arizona. You'll interact with tribe greats, get all the gear, and much more. Limited spots remain for this year's upcoming Fantasy Camp, January 2015. Visit Indians.com/Fantasy Camp for complete details. Or just stop Rick on the street if you see him and ask him for the details.
Yeah, plenty of people do. Don't worry about it. We see him everywhere we go, to be honest with you, almost in every city.
Pitch outside, 1-1. Fantasy campers, they're like college alums.
That's what it is, yeah. That's exactly what it is. You go there once, and I run into people all the time. We had a couple of, former pros here over the weekend. Chad OJ, Dave Berber were here. They come out and participate.
Cowgill in foul territory, makes the catch. Actually, they're going to say he was in fair ground as he made the grab straddling the line. 2 down. And that will bring up Michael Bourne, top of the order. He's 0 for 2 today. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball down low. One and one to count. Wrapped to first, backhanded by Crone, the flip. And Weaver beats Bourne to the bag to end the inning. But Lonnie Chisenhall gets the Indians on the board with a 2-run homer, 6-2 Angels after 5.
at the standings coming into today's game. The Indians 5 back in the division, 3.5 games back in the wild card. We're hoping to get to the postseason, and you can be there. You can guarantee yourself postseason tickets by taking advantage of Playoff Payoff. All you have to do is put down a deposit on 2015 season tickets, and you'll gain priority access to this year's postseason tickets. For more information, log on to Indians.com/postseason. Matt, Rick, we'll send it back up to you guys.
Thanks, Katie. 6th inning, and it will be Hank Conger leading it off.
He had to go through that long. They sent, 10 guys to the plate last inning.
Yeah, it was a long inning for Danny Salazar, who did not survive it. And then Zach McAllister came on to get the final out of the inning. Two balls and a strike. Count evens up at 2-2. And Conger goes down swinging. One down here in the 6th. In-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Cole Calhoun with a 2-run homer made it 3-0 Angels in the 5th. They would tack on 3 more on one swing of the bat by David Freese, make it 6-0. And then Lonnie Chisnall gets the Indians on the board in the bottom half of the inning with a 2-run homer. And that is all the scoring so far here today. Colin Cowgill couldn't hold up. Cowgill has driven in the only run of the game that wasn't via a homer. He had an RBI ground out in the 5th. Swing and a miss. And a count 0-2. A little bit high. Greg Pelka's tuned in today, watching us out in Arizona. Near the Indian spring training home in Goodyear. He's a teacher and high school baseball coach at Estrella High School, and he's watching us today because school was canceled due to heavy rains and flooding in the area.
Yeah, they had, I think, 5 inches of rain out in the Phoenix area last night.
Hopefully the ballpark's not underwater. 2 down, top of the order, and Cole Calhoun will be coming up. Well, as you've said, when they get heavy rains, there's nowhere for the water to go.
Right. You're in the desert. When it comes down, and it comes down quickly. Not like it rains all day like it does around here. It comes down in a hurry, and you have flash floods.
Cole Calhoun clobbered a big home run in that 5th inning. It just seemed to spark the Angels. Usually a home run diffuses a rally. Instead, his homer just ignited the Angels. David Freese, 4 batters later, hit a 3-run homer. Missed outside. And a count 1-1. Line to left center. That's in the gap. Bourne cuts it off. Here's a good throw to second base, and they got him. Calhoun tried to stretch it, but Michael Bourne hustling all the way. He made that play, fired it in, and Kipnis slapped the tag on Calhoun. On top as we go to the bottom half of inning number 6. Jose Ramirez, Michael Brantley, and Carlos Santana for Cleveland. And a strike called to Ramirez, who has grounded out and flied to right. Jared Weaver fires a 1-2, and it's a little bit outside. Chop towards first. The flip to Weaver. One away here in the home half of inning number 6.
Let's check out the throw by Michael Bourne. It'll be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. And he hustles to the backhand side, knowing he's got to get it in a hurry. And that's a good play if you're Calhoun to try and stretch it into a double. You have the lead, but Bourne with a good throw. A nice tag by Kipnis. And they get the final out of the inning. Well done.
To left field. Cowgill has it, 2 down. Don't miss Fox Sports Live as the crew brings you the latest news and highlights from a full day of Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, and the NBA. Watch Fox Sports Live nightly on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
That's a gimme.
Santana says, I'll take the hit. His second of the game, and a 2-out base runner for the Indians here in the 6th inning.
Well, down by 4, you need base runners. Even though there's 2 outs. And, I mean, you can see there is nobody. I mean, absolutely nobody over there. So they say, okay, there's your hit, take it. And he did.
Knees outside corner. Kipnis doubled and scored in the 5th to get the Indians on the board finally. Ahead of the home run hit by Lonnie Chisenhall. 1-2. Out of plate on the left side. Again, it's fouled away as Kipnis tries to stay alive here and keep the inning going in the 6th with Santana aboard at first. Missed inside, 2-2. The 2-2. Kipnis pops it foul again, and it's into the seats. "85 pitches by Weaver. 54 of those have been strikes. And that changeup looked like it was way off the mark. Full count. So the runner, Santana, will be off. And he ends up walking Kipnis. A visibly frustrated Weaver walks his second of the game. And it brings up Lonnie Chisenhall, who tattooed a home run back in the 5th.
Yeah, he got a pitch to his liking, got underneath it, and look at it carry out. Got the Indians on the board. I'll tell you what, Get a base hit here, a gap, or you can be right back in the ball game.
And Mike Butcher's on the phone, getting the bullpen ready.
Oh, for a 2-out base hit. Been a quiet day to this point, just the second walk, and it was that little infield bunt when they gave it to Santana now that has the Indians with 2 on.
Down low, 2-0. So Weaver suddenly has lost the strike zone.
Well, he was cruising along, got the first 2 out, and Santana just pushed a bunt down to that side of the infield where nobody was. He gets on first base, and he had about a 9-pitch at bat to Kipnis with a walk. Falling behind Chisenhall here. Then comes back in with the slow hook.
Seems like any time he wants to throw that pitch, he can do it for a strike. Jason Grilli getting loose in the bullpen for the Angels. And a strike to the outside corner, 2-2. And the 2-2 is fouled right back.
Three-two went with the fastball. Chisenhall had a good swing, but fouls it straight back. One more pitch.
Inside, he missed a full count. So the runners, both Santana and Kipnis, will be off on the 3-2 pitch now to Chisenhall. Big spot in the game right here for Jared Weaver and for the Indians. The payoff. Hit to right field. Santana around third. He will score. Kipnis goes to third. 6-3. Chisenhall has driven in all 3 Indians runs today.
How about that? All of this happening with 2 outs, and Weaver doesn't give in. Throws a fastball right there. Chisenhall smokes it into right field, so a good day for him. He has had good numbers against Weaver. Has driven in all 3. Now it's Yan Gomes, his opportunity. Kipnis goes all the way to third. Interesting. Bring the tying run to the plate.
Mike Scioscia is going to stay with Weaver for now, but could very well be his final batter of the day. This is ball 1. In the air, center field. Back is Trout and makes the catch on the front edge of the warning track. Oh, Gomes just missed, making this a brand new ball game. 6-3 Angels after 6. Final season of Sons of Anarchy premiering tomorrow night only on FX. Zach McAllister staying on now to pitch here in the 7th inning. Indians have fought back with 2 in the 5th and 1 more in the 6th. They still trail it now 6-3.
Yeah, it's a matter of now putting zeros on the board and getting that offense back in, and hopefully they can peck away and keep coming. Down to 9 outs.
Mike Trout, 1 for 3 on the day. Struck out his last 2 times up against Danny Salazar. And a belt-high fastball for strike 1. In off the plate, evens the count 1-1. Two balls, 2 strikes. Trout 4th in the league in home runs. Leads the league in runs batted in. 5th in doubles. Overall, number 1 in extra base hits. And the 2-2. And it's just a little bit off the mark. Full count. Now the 3-2, and it's out of play. As good as the Indians have been at home this year, and they have been excellent, 43-28, the Angels have been even better in their home in Southern California, going 47-24.
Yeah, they're the only baseball team with winning percentage in 6. They're 6-13. 87 wins.
That one took off. It's ball 4. Taking a look at the American League playoff scenario right now. Remember, the National League Division Series this year can be seen on Fox Sports 1. In the wild card race, the Indians have closed to within 3.5. You could also almost make that 3. The Indians get those 3 outs on September 22nd. That gives them another win to get to 75. So essentially 3 games back in the wild card race. And even though the 5 might seem like a lot in the division, they still have 3 left with Detroit.
Yep.
And 3 plus the 3 outs against Kansas City left.
Well, after we finish this homestand, Angels will head on down to Texas, and Minnesota will come to town for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we spend the weekend in Detroit.
Oh, I got right by Chisenhall. And now the Angels are set up to come right back here in the 7th.
Yeah, that ball hit hard, but Chisenhall, it looked like it went off his glove. Let's take a look and see. To Hopper right there. He played it off to the side and got by him. That's got to be an error. So now the inning is set up. 1st and 2nd. Base hit. You serious? Man. What is going on here?
Howie Kendrick, 1 out of 3 on the day. He singled and scored in that big 6-run 5th inning for the Angels. Out of play to the right. 1-1. To first base, gets by Santana. Coming around third, Mike Trout. He will score. And on his way to third goes Pujols. So the Angels come right back. And 3 hitters into the inning. Couple of bouncing balls by infielders, and it's now 7-3 Angels.
Well, if they gave Pujols' ball a hit, you got to give this one a hit. This ball, I mean,
Yep.
I don't know how you look at it, but they're both plays that should be made, in my opinion. If you're at major league level, those are plays that should be made. Trout scores, they come right back and answer that run, 7-3. Still nobody out, and they have runners at the corners.
David Freese hit a 3-run homer his last time up.
He dropped it after that. That's the second line of defense. The last line of defense dropped it too. Clank, clank. Yeah, no kidding.
Double play ball to Kipnis. He'll go to Ramirez for one on the first to double play. Another run comes home. And it's now an 8-3 Angels lead.
Give him a hit on that.
We're going to get a pitching change. So a timeout here in the 7th. 2 more in for the Angels, and they now have a 5-run lead here in the 7th inning. Three bases are empty. There are 2 down in the inning. Kyle Crockett is the new Indians pitcher, the left-hander coming on here for the 35th time this year. 3-0 and 1.80 earned run average. One pitch. Third out of the inning. Angels cash in for 2 more. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be. Overstuffed Cam. Jason Grilli, acquired earlier this year from Pittsburgh in exchange for Ernesto Frieri. And John McDonald has come into the ball game to take over at third base for David Freese. Jason Giambi leading off here in the bottom of the 7th. In the air, left center field. That'll get down. One hops the wall. Giambi headed to second base, and he's in standing with a leadoff double. Going to get a pinch runner now as J.B. Shuck comes into the ballgame to run for Giambi.
Well, Giambi got a nice low fastball there that he drilled to left center field. One hops the wall. His second double this year for Jason. He'll come out of the ball game. Shuck goes in to run. Boy, that last inning, you know, when you just come back in, you cut the lead in half to 6-3. Necessary to put a 0 on the board, but the Angels were able to put 2 and take a lot of that momentum right back.
David Murphy 0 for 2 on the day. Fouls it right back off Hank Conger. Murphy sends one sky high to shallow right. Kendrick, the second baseman, into foul territory. makes the grab, one away. Top of the order, Michael Bourne. Gurley fires it in there for a strike. Good breaking ball over for a strike. It's 0-2. Yeah, you look at this Angels bullpen now. You've got Gurley, who had 11 saves when he was with the Pirates. He has one since he came to the Angels. Kevin Jepson has a couple of saves. Joe Smith saved 15 games. Houston Street had 24 saves with San Diego. He's saved 13 since he's come to the Angels. So they've got multiple arms they can go to late in the game.
Don't think you'll see Houston Street today. I think he's pitched in the last 3 days for the Angels, so he may end up having the day off regardless.
Nice luxury, though, for Mike Scioscia to have, especially as we get later into the season and you start looking more toward October if you're the Angels. Of course, they won't begin to do that until they officially clinch things, but the way they're going right now, it won't be much longer.
Well, think about it. Earlier in the year when Oakland was, they were just lights out. Everyone was giving them the division and saying, well, everybody's going to be playing for the wild card after that, talking about the Angels, talking about Seattle. Well, it's getting interesting because Oakland still got to go up to Seattle and play 3 more games after they just Seattle took care of them the last time. They're not far behind. They're only 2 games behind Oakland right now.
Well, that's the thing. Oakland's no lock for a wild card now. They were there for a period of time. Looked like, well, they're going to walk away with that, at least that wild card spot. Now that's up in the air. Bourne lifts it to left. J.B. Shuck retreats to second base, and there are 2 down. As you say, Rick, I mean, Seattle's right there. And, if anybody slips up, the Indians, the Tigers, there's even New York, they're not completely out of it. Toronto.
Yeah, but there's just so many teams. When you're talking about the Yankees or the Indians or the Yanks, Toronto, they got to get hot, and I mean win.
Well, yeah, you're pretty much.
I mean, you got to really have a streak. You're just too many teams to jump over.
Jose Ramirez hitless in 3 trips today.
And you've got a 3-game series in Detroit starting. Kansas City, they'll be starting in about a half an hour over in the Motor City.
Yeah, they're playing a late afternoon game because the Detroit Lions are playing at 7 o'clock at home tonight, and they figured maybe not a great idea to have both venues going at the same time.
They can go right there. It's right next door.
Go from one to the other.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm sure a lot of them will.
They may.
One pitch. This was one of those change of scenery trades. Grilli was so good for the Pirates, but this year kind of hit and miss. And I think they figured Frieri was in the same situation. Maybe both guys going into new environments, new leagues would be good for them. Back out of play. The one difference is that Grilli had become a very popular figure in Pittsburgh.
Well, because of the year they had last year. They finally made the playoffs, and he was a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and they loved him there. Great story, as long as he's been around to get that opportunity, and pitched very well for the Pirates last year.
Bounce to second base, and Howie Kendrick will throw him out. 7 in the books, 8-3 Angels. Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. It's coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Austin Adams will be the new pitcher for the Indians. Tyler Holt takes over in center field. C.J. Cron will lead it off. He is 1 for 2 on the day with a run scored. Whoa, nice grab by Austin Adams as he'll throw out Cron, one down.
I mean to tell you, that ball went right into his glove. He had it down there, and it took one hop, went right in, and he nonchalantly acted like, hey, he knew what was going on. Look at the gloves down there. There it is, no problem. Good play. That got back there in a hurry.
Fouled back. 0-1. Throw it by him at 97. Adams rushing the fastball up there in a hurry. Adams just recently celebrated his 28th birthday. And the Alabama native has a strikeout for out number 2 here in the 8th inning. In-game box score brought to you by Hyundai. Cole Calhoun, the igniter at the top. Big home run earlier in the ball game. Albert Pujols has scored a couple. David Freese, a big 3-run shot. 6-run 5th inning for the Angels. Boy, 2 years ago, Austin Adams did not pitch in a single game. And now he's throwing 98 miles an hour. With a pretty good breaking ball right there, 0-2. He had right shoulder surgery in May of 2012, so he didn't pitch that entire season. Came back last year and pitched in 45 games, strictly out of the bullpen. He had been a starter before that in his career. He'd started at Mahoning Valley, Kinston, Lake County, Akron. But when he came back last year at Akron, he was solely a reliever and had 2.62 ERA in those 45 games. Popped him up.
Well, breezes through this inning.
Only took him 10 pitches to retire the Angels 1-2-3. At Progressive Field, and a new pitcher for the Angels is Fernando Salas, coming on for the 50th time this year, and a perfect mark of 5-0. Efren Navarro takes over at first base. Michael Brantley 1 out of 3 on the day, extended his hitting streak to 12 games with a single back in the fourth. Out of play on the left side. Two balls, two strikes. Minnesota Twins will come to town tomorrow night. It'll be a 3-game series to wrap up the homestand. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and then Thursday a noon game to finish it up. Brantley sends a high drive to right field, but Calhoun back there and makes the catch. One away. This is what's ahead for the Tribe. They've got the 3 with Minnesota. Then they hit the road for 3 big ones in Detroit. They go to Houston for 4. Then to Target Field for 3. The final road trip of the season wraps up. Then back home, and the last 6 will be 3 against Kansas City, 3 against Tampa Bay. Now the one caveat is on September the 22nd, they'll finish the game that was suspended in the 10th inning in Kansas City. The Indians will need to get 3 outs. And should they do so, they'll have another victory under their belt. Still haven't heard the start time on that game.
No, they haven't decided that yet. And I think they have to get together with MLB to get it done, taken care of.
Got to figure it'll be about a 5 o'clock, maybe a twilight-type start time. Granted, if the Royals were to come out and score 2, they could play as long as it takes, but you would hope that it would be a tidy affair for Cleveland. 2-0 pitch to Santana. Popped him up. Infield. Kendrick, 2 down. That'll bring up Jason Kipnis, who doubled and scored back in the 5th. Called strike on the outside edge. And a breaking ball in for a strike. It's 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. And a fastball smashed into left center. Cut off by Trout. And Kipnis has a 2-out single, second hit of the game. Well, as promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Lonnie Chisenhall has driven in all 3 runs for the Indians on the day. A 2-run home run in the 5th, and a 2-out RBI single in the 6th.
Yeah, they cut that lead to 6-3 before the Angels ended up scoring 2 more in the top half of the 7th, and that took that momentum away from them.
Yep, sure did. Swung on and missed. Bounce to second base. Kendrick throws him out. We head to the 9th. 8-3 Angels. Express and Total Car Care coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Nick Hagedorn is coming on for the Indians, making his 29th appearance of the year. A win, no losses, in the area of 131. He'll be facing the top of the lineup for the Angels. Defensively, lots of changes now for the Tribe.
Yes, there are.
Chris Jimenez is now behind the plate doing the catching. Jesus Aguilar comes into the ballgame at first base for Carlos Santana. Justin Sellers is now at second base for Jason Kipnis. And then in the outfield, we already had Tyler Holt take over in center. Now Zach Walters is in left. So the 3 remaining starters in the game, Murphy in right, Ramirez at short, and Chisenhall at third. Cole Calhoun will lead off for the Angels. Two balls, no strikes. Count on Cole Calhoun.
He had a big swing back in the 5th inning, a 2-run homer, his 14th. That made it 3-0.
The Angels will move on to Texas to open a 3-game series with the Rangers tomorrow. Their remaining schedule is pretty favorable for Mike Scioscia's gang. They've got Texas, Houston. They do have 7 left with Seattle and 3 with Oakland. But they have 6 with the Rangers, and the other 3 are with the Astros. So they're in pretty good shape. As Calhoun draws a leadoff walk here in the 9th. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Take care of Trout and Pujols. Top of the guys at the top of the order there, 2 and 3 hitters. Guys that did the damage today weren't necessarily Trout and Pujols, though. Cole Calhoun, the leadoff man, 2-run homer. David Freese, a 3-run shot batting out of the 5-hole.
Yeah, that big 6-run 5th inning just took him right out of it. And Weaver looking for his 16th win today, or is in line for it, and that would lead the league.
You know what's hard to figure with this one is that, okay, so the game starts out, Calhoun and Trout start off the game with back-to-back singles. Danny Salazar did not allow another hit until that 5th inning when the first 2 batters reached on singles. But then it spun out of control and he couldn't get out of the inning. He was fine up until, a couple of walks, but he was getting the ground balls. He was overpowering hitters with his fastball at times. Well, whatever happened in the 5th inning, whether it was just simply a lack of command, I don't know, but he just lost it.
Well, and he was ahead of a lot of those hitters in the inning that ended up getting base hits off him, too.
Well, they made him pay for it. 6 runs on 8 hits for Salazar in 4 2/3 innings of work. And the Indians were able to claw their way back with 2 in the 5th, 1 more in the 6th, make it 6-3. But then in the 7th inning, a couple of ground balls on the infield that skipped past infielders led to 2 more runs. Two balls, 2 strikes. I guess if you're the Angels, you have to look at it like this. You're sitting here as the day begins. You've got a 7-game lead in the division. They go to Texas for 3. After that, they go home for a 10-game homestand. So if you're Mike Scioscia, you want to have that thing wrapped up by the time the homestand's over so that when you go on the road to Oakland and Seattle to end the year, those games aren't meaningful.
They'll have, with their home record, they'll have the opportunity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But as you know how managers are, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just go get it, win every series, continue. They've been hot. They've been playing very good baseball.
They stubbed their toe and let Oakland and Seattle creep back and hang around. Those last 6 games could be very interesting. The 2-2. That's a fair ball. Stayed over the bag. Chisnall, long throw across. Nope, not in time. Trout's got tremendous wheels, and because it broke the bat, it didn't really get down to Chisenhall all that quickly. And looks like we've got another pitching change coming here.
Yeah, walk and a base hit for Hagedorn, and that's it. Out of his 12 pitches, 6 balls, 6 strikes, and he's done.
On to Progressive Field. The Indians find themselves down 5 here in the ninth. The Angels have 2 on, nobody out. And Albert Pujols coming to the plate as Brian Price gets his 3rd appearance of the year. Pujols, 2 hits, 2 runs scored on the day. A little bit outside. Hit in the air, deep left field, and goodbye. That's the 26th home run of the year for Albert Pujols. It's a 3-run shot here in the 9th inning. And that all but puts this baby on ice. 11-3 Angels. Second 3-run homer of the day for the Halos.
Yeah, their 3rd homer, a couple of 3-runners, and a 2-runner. Well, there you see a ball right down the middle, and not to this guy you don't. He makes you pay. 2 of those runs will go to Hagedorn, who walked and gave up an infield single, and then Pujols made him pay.
And Brian Price with a strike to Howie Kendrick. Swing and a miss, and the count is 1-2. Checked his swing. It's down and in. Brian Price was the 45th overall pick 6 years ago out of Rice University. Kendrick slugs it to deep center field. Gone. Howie Kendrick goes oppo. His 7th home run of the year. Back-to-back home runs for the Angels here in the 9th inning. 4 home runs on the day. 12-3 L.A.
Kendrick just flat out a good hitter. You know, when you can take that ball and go the opposite field, that was a little breaking ball. He's pointing up like it's going to just a fly ball. Well, it's a fly ball that ends up getting out of here. So he hits his 7th home run, and he just goes the other way so well.
Boy, poor John McDonald can't even get an at-bat in a 12-3 game. He gets lifted for the pinch hitter, Gordon Beckham, after Johnny Mack came on defensively. Beckham fouls it right back. John McDonald, he's not going to complain, though. He knows his role, and when Mike Scioscia needs him for defense, that's when he goes into the ball game. Two balls and a strike, 11 pitches thrown by Price. 6 for strikes, 5 for balls, but a lot of balls left the yard already, too. Four runs in the inning. Still nobody out. 2-1 pitch. Pop back and out of play. Right back out of play again. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The count here on Beckham. Shallow right. In comes Murphy. 1 down. Yeah, I was just looking back, Rick. Indians haven't had many games like this year. They did have one recently. Unfortunately, it came against Detroit where they lost 11-4. But I'm looking back in games where they've lost, where they gave up double digits in runs scored. Other than that game against Detroit, the only other one I see since the All-Star break was a 10-6 loss in New York to the Yankees. And then going back earlier in the year, they had a 10-4 loss here to the Tigers. A 10-3 loss at Fenway. That was back on June the 13th.
Yeah,
So, I
but
mean,
on one hand, that's going to happen to everybody.
I think in all, maybe 5 or 6 of these games, you're right, just a very small sample out of the whole season. This one I never saw it coming because of the way it started.
Yeah, nothing after 4.
Looked like another typical, well, it's going to be one of those 2-1, 3-2 low-scoring games that we've been so accustomed to seeing here of late.
Well, the Angels, as I mentioned, coming in, leading this league in runs scored. They had a big 6-run inning. The long ball has been big for them today. 2 3-run homers, a 2-run homer, and a solo shot. So they've hit 4. They've had a 6-run inning, now a 4-run inning. And then in the 7th, when they took that momentum back, they put 2 on the board.
Grant Green drives one down the left field line. Fair ball. Into the corner. And Green's going to pull into second base with a double. Now Efren Navarro. Navarro's first at bat of the day.
There you go. Sunday nights, FBI, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
Navarro had a couple of hits yesterday in the Angels game against the Twins. This one's popped to left. And Zach Walters makes the catch, 2 down. Going to bring up Hank Conger, who has 1 for 4 today. Singled and scored in the 5th. The other 3 times up, he has struck out. Cuts and misses, and it's 1-1. Center field, Tyler Holt on the warning track. Makes the catch. And that'll end the inning. Angels pile on with 4 more. As we go down to the bottom of the ninth inning. This one got away from the Tribe here this afternoon. And benches have been emptied on both sides. I think just about everybody, even with the expanded rosters, gotten into the action here today.
Welcome to September baseball in a game like this, in a blowout. You're going to get to see everybody.
Well, the Indians will have to simply put this one behind them as quickly as possible and move on, which they've shown the ability to do this year. But they're going to have to make sure it happens again, because they've got the Twins coming in tomorrow, and they are in a position where they just cannot afford to have any losing skids. They've got to, it's okay. As we said, you don't expect the team to run the table and win every game. With 20 to go, though, they're going to have to win more than their fair share if they have any hopes of securing a spot in the postseason. Meanwhile, up in Detroit, Tigers are getting ready to take on the Kansas City Royals. That's a big matchup, 1 versus 2 in the division. The Indians will be watching that closely. Tigers superstar Miguel Cabrera, though, has been revealed he has a bone spur in his bad ankle. We watched him hobble around the bases here when the Tigers were in town just recently, and he had a tough time moving. And let's see if I can get this stupid thing to work. All right, Brad Osmus, the Tigers manager, says, quote, "We don't know if he requires surgery. We don't know if it's going to be healed by rest or if surgery would help, and if that'll be determined when the season's over." So essentially, he's going to, just as he did a year ago, he's going to play through it as best he can. And last year he won the MVP playing through a torn muscle or whatever the heck was wrong with him. So I don't suppose a bone spur is going
to stop him,
keep him out of the lineup this year either.
I'm telling you, the guy can just flat out hit.
Chris Jimenez leading off here in the bottom of the ninth, and he draws ball 4. Tribe has a leadoff walk. And it brings up J.B. Shuck. In his last couple of days, he's hit 3 home runs and driven in 6 runs, speaking of Miguel Cabrera. So, bone spur or not, as we saw here, it doesn't seem like it hurts him in the box. It's when he has to run. He can't. He just can't. Flat out cannot run.
Well, he had to score late in last night's game on a base hit that Martinez had from first base, and he came out of the game after that.
I will say this, and this is simply speculation, but with as much as we've seen over the years of pro athletes playing through pain, playing hurt, playing 162 games, however many that you can get in the lineup over 6 months, I wonder what the long-term effects will be for Miguel Cabrera, because as you've said many times, and I do agree, he's the best right-handed hitter in the game today.
Yeah.
And he does play every day, whether it's DH, first base, third base when he was over there. He comes to play. He wants to be in a lineup every day. You wonder, Rick, at what point do those injuries finally take their toll on him?
Well, yeah, he's getting to that age now where you have to take care of yourself. And, you'll wait and see. You go through it. That's all part of the process. But the amazing thing about that guy is that he battles his way through it. They need him. They got to have him offensively. He's the one that really makes that team go.
Well, you
got the protection behind him this year in Victor.
Yeah, you look at Miguel Cabrera, and while he may not be having an a league MVP caliber season, he's like Mike Trout for this Angels club. Without him, without Mike Trout, those two teams are completely different animals. The Angels and Tigers, they would not be where they are today without either of those players. Now, Nelson Cruz in Baltimore, he's had a heck of a year. Is he the difference maker for Baltimore? I don't know. That might be debatable. Murphy, a swing and a miss, and he strikes out. 2 down. I guess it hit the dirt on the foul tip.
Okay.
Or did it?
No, the umpire just told him. He stayed up there. He didn't know. The umpire just said, I think you're out.
Well, wouldn't the umpire have told him that? You know, like
maybe he didn't hear anything. I don't know. Take a look and see. Oh, that's not even close. That ball didn't. He missed it by quite a bit.
Okay, here's Tyler Holt. And his first at bat of the day. Two and 0. Down the right side, slicing out of play. Took off on him. Mike Scioscia looking on as the Angels try to close it out with 2 down here in the 9th inning. Tyler Holt came on defensively for Michael Bourne, and Holt draws a 2-out walk. 2 walks in the inning for the Indians. And it will bring up Jose Ramirez. Ramirez has grounded out 3 times and flied to right once. This guy would not be a whole lot of fun to watch fun to face because he's not a whole lot of fun to watch either, I should say. But he's a lot of velocity, but as a hitter, you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you get into the minor leagues and it's a very uncomfortable at bat because you can't sit on anything.
2-0. Now the pitch, up high, 3-0. Here comes Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. Now you give a guy a chance to pitch in the ball game, and it's a blowout. Diaz was just called up from Double-A Arkansas, and this is his major league debut. So there's a pretty good chance that the 23-year-old is, even though it's a blowout, he's suffering maybe from a little bit of nerves, some jitters, first time out in the bigs.
Now, pitching in front of this big crowd would do that to you.
There were 15,116 here at one time. There might be 1,500 left. Fouled right back. Two on, two out, and the 3-2 pitch with the runners going. Swung on and missed. Ramirez strikes out to end the game, and the Angels, on the make-up for this rained-out game from back in June, come back to Cleveland and spank the Indians good today. 12-3 is the final score. The Angels win their 5th in a row, and they go to 88-55 on the year, increasing their lead in the AL West now to 7.5 games over Oakland. The Indians have their 3-game win streak snapped. They go to 74-68. And the Indians will now fall 5.5 games out in the AL Central, and they fall to 4 games back in the wild card race. Time now for our key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
Well, you go back to that 5th inning, and this is where they did all their damage. And it was a pitch that Freese was able to keep his hands back. It was the middle of the plate. Salazar gave up a 3-run home run. Couldn't believe it. That made it 6-0 in the ball game. So they hit 2 in the inning, and it was a big 6-run inning. And that is going to be our KeyBank key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
This one goes under the category of file it and forget it, as the Angels win big, 12-3, the final score. Stay tuned for Indians Live, presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. That's coming up next.